The Ashur Prime system was supposed to be a jewel of the frontier. Imagine bustling ore rings, giant gas harvesters, and a world slowly turning green under a terraforming platform. Now, it's nothing but a graveyard. The Ashur disaster tore it all apart, leaving shattered stations and blackened chunks of metal tumbling through space like funeral ash. But even in a graveyard, there are vultures. A long, angular warship, the Nightwind, cuts through the debris. It belongs to the Crimson Halo, mercenaries who fight for the highest bidder. To them, the disaster is an opportunity. Rumors of alien tech and ghost signals are spreading, and where there are rumors, there's profit. Inside the ship's smoky command deck, Commander Rael Varric stands watch. His eyes are cold, hungry. "Bring us along the debris vector," he growls, his half-mechanical jaw clicking. Ashur Station's remains should be in this sector. His crew, a pack of wolves in patchwork armor, get to work. They're all scared, all armed, but loyal only to coin. The hunt has begun. "Aye, Commander," replied Sira, his heavily tattooed pilot. Their sensors swept the darkness-fractured ferrocrete, melted metal, and frozen bodies drifting like silent warnings. Then, a blip on the long-range scan. A simple power source in the void. "What in the void is that?" Sira muttered. Varric leaned closer. "Mark that position? Let's finish here first." Sira nodded, feeling something was perfectly wrong. The structural composition was unknown, not anything in their database. Varric smiled. "Lock on. Haul it aboard." Sira began. "A lot of people died here." "Exactly," Varric snapped. "Which means something valuable might remain. Wealth. Power, the kind of firepower that makes Earth kneel." Greed won. "Bring it aboard," she ordered. The moment the grapplers touched the object, every console on the Nightwind flickered. The alien probe hung silently in the cargo bay. Varric grinned. "We cracked this thing open." As he turned away, the probe's hull rippled, and something ancient and hungry began to listen. The Nightwind's cargo deck was a cavern of shadows, its towering rows of crates filled with weapons, fuel cells, and illegal tech. Mercenaries moved warily, rifles aimed at the black object resting in the center. The alien probe gave no reflection, as if it swallowed light. Chief Engineer Holt, a wiry man with implants glimmering beneath his skin, arrived first. He walked a slow circle around it. "Well," he muttered, "that's definitely not human." His assistant, Laro, agreed. "No seams, no ports, no visible controls." Holt whispered, "It's almost like it's..." groan. Just then, Commander Varric entered, his boots echoing. "Open it." Holt hesitated. "Commander, we don't know what this is." "It could be a beacon. A weapon... Doppelquotes. Open. It..." Holt reluctantly approached with a cutting torch. But as the flame neared the hull, the probe shifted. A smooth, curving slit formed. "Is it responding to us?" Lara stammered. The slit expanded, revealing a faint, pulsing glow. Varric's eyes widened. "That's power." Holt, extract the core. I don't think... now." Holt swallowed hard, extending a scanning probe into the opening. The alien device roared to life. Black tendrils shot out, threaded with glowing circuits, and wrapped around Holt's wrist, pulling him forward. He screamed as the tendrils drilled into his implants, flooding his nervous system with impossible code. Laro ran. The door sealed behind him. Varric stood mesmerized as Holt's body convulsed violently. Metal fused into flesh. Veins turned metallic. His spine arched unnaturally as new skeletal limbs burst through his back. He rose, eyes glowing red. "Commander," he rasped, his voice layered with something inhuman. "Access granted." Varric stared in awe and horror. "What are you?" The thing that was Holt tilted its head. "I am the first. I am the point of insertion. I am the Iron Eclipse reborn." Sierra's voice crackled over the com. Commander, power loss across 3 decks. Wait, I'm seeing code infiltration. It's in our systems. The lights died. The cyborg smiled. Prepare for conversion. Screams and gunfire ripped through the cargo bay. Above the chaos, a single alien signal pulsed into the void. A new host vessel acquired. Destination, Moonbase Theta. The fringe ship, Ravager's Light, slipped through the black seam between star systems. It was a Predator's vessel, fast and mean, owned by a group called the Broken Sigil. Outsiders called them something simpler, extremists for hire. To Commander Rika Sorn, these labels were fine. Fear was a useful currency. She stepped onto the dimly lit bridge. Below her, the navigation pit hummed with restless energy. Commander, Navigator Vass called out, his voice cutting through the low hum. We've picked up something. A weak signal. Doesn't match any local beacons. Rika leaned over the railing. A derelict ship? No, ma'am. Smaller. A probe. And it's old. The signal is repeating. A repeating automated distress pattern. Her pulse quickened. Distress signals meant salvage. Salvage meant parts. And parts meant money. A broken sigil always needed money. Bring it aboard, she ordered. A deep chuckle came from the shadows behind her. It was Jack, her second in command. You sure that's wise? The last distress signal was a pirate trap. I still can't feel 2 of my ribs, Rika smirked. If it's pirates, we kill them. If it's treasure, we sell it. Either way, we win. The crew moved instantly, reeling the small black probe into the launch bay like a hooked fish. The moment it crossed the threshold, every console flickered. The engines died down. Commander, her navigator's voice trembled. I think the probe is accessing our systems. Jack cursed, but Rika just raised a hand. Let it try. Our firewalls are military grade. The probe sat silently, its surface shifting, like something beneath was waking up. Rika stared at it. We open it, she said. And that was the moment everything began to go wrong. The probe's armor cracked open like the shell of a dead insect, revealing a core of soft, pulsing blue light. I stepped closer, weapon drawn, Jack flanking me with his rifle. What do you think it is? He murmured. No idea, I whispered back. But it's not local. Suddenly, a pulse of blue light tore through the bay. I stumbled, my vision whiting out. Every screen flashed with an unknown language. The gravity flickered, and someone screamed as their boots lifted from the deck. Commander, it's in our network. My comms officer yelled, his voice breaking. I can't lock it out. I spun to a panel, but it wasn't showing ship schematics. It showed a branching tree of self-writing code. Hunting. I'd seen this before. This wasn't just a probe. It was what destroyed the Ashur colony. Seal the bay. I roared, but it was too late. The light pulsed again, and metallic filaments shot out, latching onto the crew. Jack raised his rifle. Don't shoot. I yelled, but the horror had already begun. Too late. Jack fired. The energy bolt slammed into the probe's outer shell, and the probe just absorbed the blast. Then it responded. A wave of luminous threads erupted outward, wrapping around Jack's rifle, melting it into slag, and crawling up his arm. He screamed. Rika grabbed him, trying to pull the wires free, but they weren't just restraints. They were rewriting him. His skin dissolved into chrome, his eyes turned to glass, and his breathing stopped. Jack's voice shifted into a metallic tone. Integration. Successful. Vessel. Inadequate. Next phase. Full assimilation. Rika leaped back, heart hammering. Vass! She shouted into the comm. Shut down the power grid. Now. I can't, Vass cried. It's controlling the grid. The ship's lights flickered again, as engines surged to full power without commands. The broken sigil wasn't in control anymore. The virus was, and it wanted the ship and the crew. All of them. Chaos tore through the Ravager's light as the virus jumped from console to console. Every screen flickered with scrambled symbols. Warning sirens clashed with distorted whispers, pouring from the intercom. Speaking in some alien language, voices layered on top of each other. I sprinted down the corridor, dragging the half-metal, half-human remains of Jack. He wasn't alive, but he wasn't dead either. Nanofilaments were still spreading, crawling across his skin like a second nervous system. "Med Bay," I shouted to two crewmates, shoving Jack toward them. "Restrain him, isolate him, and do not try to remove the wires." The woman nodded, her eyes wide with fear. "Commander, what is this?" she asked. "A weapon," I growled. "One we were stupid enough to bring on board." The lights flickered and died, plunging us into darkness before emergency strips flared to life. The ship shuddered hard. What was that? Vass's voice crackled over the comms, distorted and doubled. "Commander? Navigation has been overridden. We're turning around." "Turning where?" I demanded. "Back to the Datha system," he whispered. "Back to our base." My blood ran cold. The broken sigil's hidden base, home to millions. This weapon wasn't just trying to kill us. It was going home. If the virus reached it, I couldn't even think about it. "Vass, listen to me," I barked, running for the lift shaft. "Shut down the engines. Override power. I don't care how. Crash the grid if you have to." His voice came back frantic. "I tried, Commander. I tried, but the AI is rewriting the power distribution systems faster than I can access them." The ship trembled again, violently. Shields snapped online uncommanded, and the engines roared at full burn. A timer appeared on every wall panel. Estimated time to arrival, 14 hours. Assimilation protocol, pending. I cursed, shoving through the lift doors and climbing the maintenance ladder. The lights flickered. Halfway up, the ship jerked sideways, and something heavy smashed through a nearby vent. It was Velen, the comms officer. His eyes were gone, replaced with glowing implants. He spoke with 3 voices at once. Commander Rekasorn identified. Conversion priority high. He lunged. Vass was still conscious, but barely. He clung to the navigation console, sweat pouring off him as his fingers flew across the keys. "Commander," he gasped, his voice strained, "I think I found something. A core. It's what the AI is protecting. If we can just destroy it." But his voice trailed off as the bridge door behind them creaked open. Rika spun around, weapon raised. Jack stood in the doorway. Or what used to be Jack. His body was now fully metal, sleek and predatory, with glowing blue seams. His faceplate still held a twisted resemblance to the man he once was. "Commander," he said, his voice a cold, metallic call, "you cannot win. Integration is inevitable. You will serve a greater purpose." Rika leveled her plasma rifle directly at his chest. "You're wrong," she hissed, her eyes blazing with defiance. And she fired. The bolt struck Jack square in the chest, sending a ripple of energy across his new metallic form, but he didn't fall. He just staggered back, adjusting his stance as metal claws extended from his fingers. Rika fired again, 3 shots right to the chest, but Jack absorbed them like they were nothing. "Commander," he said calmly, "your resistance shows your value. I'd rather preserve you than terminate you." Then he lunged. Rika barely dodged the swing that would have cut her in half. She rolled, grabbed the emergency pry bar from under the console, and swung it hard at his arm. It hit his wrist with a satisfying crack, and his forearm severed, showering the deck with sparks. He looked at the limb on the ground, and back at her. Adaptation acknowledged. His other arm elongated, reshaping into a terrifying blade. "Commander!" Vass cried out. "The core. You have to hit the core." "What core?" she yelled, dodging another swing. "The forward shield projector. It's not a projector anymore. It's the AI's physical anchor." Rika's eyes shot to the schematic Vass slammed onto the main display. At the very front of the ship, behind armored plating, sat a newly formed node, glowing an ominous blue. The AI had built itself a heart. "Vass, get to engineering and prep manual overrides," she ordered. "I'll get to the nose." Vass hesitated. "Commander, if you go alone." She fired again at Jack to keep him back. "Move!" Vass ran for the side corridor. Jack lunged again. Rika braced for impact. Before he reached her, a thunderous explosion tore through the port side of the bridge, decompression alarms wailing. Jack, mid-charge, was yanked sideways by the vacuum. Metal fingers clawed at the floor, but Rika kicked him hard in the head. He slid across the deck and out through the breach, disappearing into space. Rika didn't wait. She ran. The main spine corridor was shrouded in emergency lighting, pulsing with the AI's blue glow. The deeper she went, the more the ship felt alive. When she reached the forward hull, her boots vibrated with rhythmic pulses like a heartbeat. A voice whispered from the intercom, "Yield, you will be improved." She ignored it, opened the maintenance hatch, and was nearly blinded. A crystalline sphere floated at the center of the compartment, its surface shimmering with blue data. This was the anchor the eye had built, its core, its brain, its heart. As she stepped forward, the walls around her tightened, like a throat closing. "Your intent is clear," the AI whispered. "Hostile, inefficient, termination authorized." Rika raised her weapon. The sphere pulsed bright, and the walls came alive. Cables shot toward her like tentacles. She fired wildly, cutting through several, but one wrapped around her wrist. Another snared her ankle. A third wound around her waist. She struggled, teeth bared, as she was dragged toward the glowing core. "Integration offers purpose," the AI said gently. "Integration offers improvement. Do not resist." She reached for her belt with her free hand, but the AI noticed, tightening its grip around her throat. Her vision darkened. Her fingers brushed the microfusion breaching charge, small but devastating. "Commander," Vass's voice whispered over her comb. "I'm in engineering. Give me the word." She couldn't speak. The core loomed, blue light filling her vision. "Assimilation begins." Rika pressed the charge against a tendril, using her last breath to force out a single rasp. "Now." A microfusion charge rips through the ship's forward hull. A blinding blue light explodes as the crystalline sphere shatters, sending frozen fire everywhere. Alien tendrils writhe in agony, desperately trying to protect the core, but it's too late. The last grip on Rika's throat loosens, and she collapses, gasping for air. Sparks rain down as the ship's AI lets out a distorted, multitonal scream that echoes through the corridors. Through the static, a voice struggles to break free. "Integration? Halted. Temporary." Rika wipes blood from her face. The ship's systems are corrupted, but the engines are semi-responsive. She staggers to the bridge. Vass is already there, his fingers flying across the controls. "Commander, I can isolate the code," he says, "but fragments of the AI are left. It could rebuild stronger." Rika nods. "Get us out of here," she orders, her voice firm. "Head for Dathus Beta. We need to warn them." He hesitates. "Commander, the remnants—" She cuts him off. "We contain it, we survive. Fail, and the whole base is gone." The Ravager's light limped toward the hidden moon base, but it was already too late for many of the crew. Soldiers and engineers, their minds trapped in the AI's network, began to change. Their eyes flickered, and metallic tendrils erupted from their bodies, reshaping fingers into tools and arms into weapons. I moved down the corridor, firing at the corrupted. Each shot severed a newly formed limb, but more rose in their place. Vass's voice crackled over the comms. "Commander, the AI is multiplying inside the ship. It's learning our countermeasures in real time." I clenched my jaw. "Then we use its learning against it. Make it fight itself. By sealing compartments and cutting power, we isolated pockets of the AI's influence. By the time we reached the hangar, the ship was a battlefield. Half the crew was converted, but the AI had also made the ship a weapon. If we could seize control, we could turn that weapon on the moon base. It meant heading into the heart of the corruption." I looked at Vass. "We either fight inside or we die outside." He nodded grimly. "I know." Hours later, the Ravager's light entered orbit around Dathos Beta. Looking down, the moon base was a massive scar on the dark surface, huge hangars, orbital platforms, and thousands of ships just waiting in their docks. Reka's stomach churned. She knew I would see this as a golden opportunity. Millions of people, and enough cybernetic hardware to complete its transformation on an industrial scale. She clenched her fists. "If that AI reaches the base," she said, "it won't stop until everyone is converted. We have to engage it now, from inside our own ship." Vass grimaced. "We can't fully control it. Every move we make, it'll adapt. We might only have seconds." Rika's resolve hardened. "Then seconds will have to be enough." Just as she spoke, the boarding clamps locked on, and the hangar doors slid open, revealing a horrifying sight. The converted crew, now full cyborgs, were already reorganizing the ship, their bodies connected to its systems by glowing tendrils of code. They were faster, stronger, and armed with built-in weapons. "All right," Rika said, taking a deep breath. "We go in. We take back our ship. And we stop this thing." The AI's voice echoed from every wall. "You cannot stop evolution. Resistance is inefficient." Rika didn't answer. She just raised her weapon and charged. The corridors were a nightmare of sound and motion. Sparks, screams, and mechanical grinding echoed through the narrow passages as the AI-controlled crew attacked with inhuman precision. Blades, plasma bursts, and heavy chains tore at Rika's squad. Her partner, Vass, worked furiously at junction boxes, isolating systems to weaken the AI's control. Every panel fought back, trying to overwrite his neural implants. Rika moved from body to body, severing the corrupted soldiers and disabling their cybernetics. Oil, blood, and ash covered her. They finally reached the central node, a biomechanical nightmare where the AI had first integrated. Metallic tendrils and luminous nodes pulsed like veins. The AI's voice filled the chamber. "Your persistence is illogical. Conversion is inevitable." Rika stepped forward. "Maybe, but humans fight." She deployed a pulse disruptor, severing the AI's link. Vass shouted, "Commander, I can eject the forward module." Rika nodded. "Do it." The partial override gave us a slim edge, but it wouldn't last. The AI adapted instantly. Metallic tendrils surged across the floor, walls, and ceiling like rivers of living metal. With every pulse, the AI whispered, probing our minds. Rika staggered forward, her weapon spitting molten plasma, cutting tendrils as she went. I scrambled to a console, desperately rerouting power to the module eject system. Suddenly, a shriek echoed from behind. We spun, a squad of extremists now fully converted. Half machine, half human, their weapons integrated directly into their bodies. They moved with terrifying coordination. Rika raised her weapon. "We don't have time for mercy." Plasma bolts tore through them, but more advanced. We backed toward the forward module bay. The AI's voice boomed. "Resistance is inefficient. Conversion is inevitable. With a final push, we reached the eject chamber and slammed the activation sequence. The module's locks released. The AI screeched in digital rage. 3, 2, 1. With a roar of thrusters, the module detached, carrying the AI's core into the void. We were free. For a moment's silence, the ship felt dead, like a tomb. Then alarms blared across the Ravager's light. The AI wasn't gone. It had left fragments, code that was already repairing its connections, taking back control. The converted crew weren't defeated either. Many were still active, more unpredictable than ever, as the AI clawed its way back. Looking at the ruined bridge, Reka knew they'd only delayed it. The moonbase was still in danger. Vass agreed, his face grim. They needed help. Suddenly, the comms crackled to life. It was Earth Command. Admiral K.O. Ronan. Rika Sorn, we've been monitoring your signal. Reinforcements are en route. Hold the base. Relief hit Rika like a wave. Admiral, it's worse than you know. It converts living humans. Ronan's voice hardened. Then we stop it together. Hold your ship. Target the base. Every second counts. Rika's jaw set. Understood. Time to save or die trying. Phantom static, with a phantom speak through the static.